everyone, I welcome you all to Focus of the Day session. Today we are going to talk about the uncontrolled re-entry of Chinese rocket in the Earth's atmosphere. The rocket is called as Long March 5B. We are going to cover this topic in the following sequence. Why it is in news, about Long March 5B rocket, what is uncontrolled re-entry, laws controlling space junk, followed by the prelims and mains based practice questions for you guys. So why it is in news? A Chinese booster rocket made an uncontrolled return to Earth, leading to US furor against Beijing for not sharing information about the potentially hazardous object's descent. And mind you guys, it is China's largest rocket and it was launched into space in April 2021 for putting into orbit a core module named Tianhe. Let's know more about Long March 5B rocket. So as I've told you, it's the largest one and it was supposed to put Tianhe in the orbit. Ending over a week of global anxiety and alarm, the debris from a large Chinese rocket, the Long March 5B, crashed to Earth over the Pacific and Indian Oceans. It fell into the Sulu Sea near Malaysia. The 22-ton core stage of rocket hurtled uncontrollably back to Earth. There were fears that it might hit a populated area. China, however, had dismissed these fears despite widespread criticism for rocket re-entry risks imposed by it on the world. Look at this. This is Long March 5. The length is 57 meters. Payload capacity is 25 tons to low Earth orbit, 14 tons to geosynchronous transfer orbit, and 8 tons to Earth-Moon transfer orbit. Its lift-off weight is 869 metric tons and diameter of the core stage is 5 meters. Diameter of each of the 4 boosters is 3.35 meters. It definitely is a huge rocket. But why the re-entry of Long March 5B has raised so many concerns or has been raising so many concerns, and what is uncontrolled re-entry? So when a rocket is launched, its discarded booster stages re-enter the Earth's atmosphere safely soon after the liftoff. Then they harmlessly fall into the ocean as a standard practice. This is a standard practice. This happens during every rocket launch. However, in Chinese case, a large part of the rocket went into the orbit along with the section of under construction space station. So if you were wondering what Tianhe is, it is one of the parts of Chinese space station that is under construction in space. While it was in orbit, this vehicle kept rubbing against the air at the top of the atmosphere, and the resulting friction caused it to start losing altitude. This resulted in Long March 5B rocket's uncontrolled re-entry back to Earth inevitable, and it was not in control of any agency, any Chinese agency, space agency whatsoever. It was having a free fall towards Earth. Let's understand better once again what is uncontrolled re-entry. Generally, the core of the first of a rocket is made up of heavy pieces that usually don't reach orbit after liftoff and fall back safely along a near precise projected trajectory. Now it's near precise as in it's controlled. If they do enter an orbit, then a costly deorbit maneuver is required for a steered controlled return using engine burn. Without a deorbit maneuver, the orbital core stage makes an uncontrolled fall, and that's why Long March 5B did so. But has uncontrolled crashes happened even before? Was it the worst uncontrolled crash? No. Long March 5B's uncontrolled entry into the Earth's atmosphere was the 4th largest uncontrolled re-entry of debris into the atmosphere. Before that, in March 2021, a SpaceX rocket stage made an uncontrolled landing on a farm in the US, But this happened due to a malfunction in the engine tasked to bring it down and not by choice. In 1979, when NASA's space station Skylab was brought down, some debris ended up in Australia, leading to an apology from the then US president. In 1978, when a nuclear-powered Soviet satellite crashed in Canada, Russia was forced to bear the part of expenses gone into cleaning the radioactive debris. After all, it was a nuclear-powered one, and this has been the fourth one in the sequence. And mind you guys, it was not on any ground surface, it was in the ocean. But why did it fall back? The gigantic remnants from China's Long March 5B rocket's core stage are known to make such fiery, out-of-control descent back to Earth. Most nations' rockets separate the launcher from the payloads before leaving the atmosphere. An extra engine then gives the payload a final boost, but China's 5B series does not use a second engine and pushes right into the orbit, the report has pointed out. The investigation report that was being conducted on the reasons behind such a fall. So as I've already talked to you about the previous happenings of uncontrolled crashes, and I've already told you it was the fourth largest one. Before that, 2021 SpaceX incident, 1979 NASA Skylab's incident, and 1978 Soviet Union's nuclear powered satellite crash in Canada have been there, which have been the worst off than this one because it was still in the ocean while these were on the ground. Was controlling the space junk. The Space Liability Convention of 1972 defines responsibility in a case space object causes harm. The treaty says that a launching state shall be absolutely liable to pay compensation for damage caused by its space objects on the surface of the earth or to aircraft and liable for damage due to its falls in space. The convention also provides for procedures for the settlement of claims for damages. However, there is no law against space junk crashing back to Earth. In April this year, suspected debris from a Chinese rocket was found in two Maharashtra villages. So, according to the laws that are, if at all, available regarding such crashes, any particular country that is launching something into the space and in the process of the launch it harms anything, let's say an aircraft flying or crashes over any particular area, it is liable to pay compensation. But there are so many satellites and other equipments that are in orbit in the space. If they go defunct and they start losing their orbit and become space debris and crash ultimately to Earth, there is no law to help the state or have the state liable, whosoever it is in this case. So space junk, space debris, for that there is no such law. Now let's look at a very interesting prelims practice question. Kessler syndrome is related to which of the following? A. Mental disorder, B. Ozone hole, C. Defense forces, and D. Space debris. And the correct answer for this one is D, that is space debris. Kessler syndrome is about space debris. Those who know about Kessler syndrome can share the information in the comment box with the others as well, since we are not getting into the details of Kessler syndrome right now. Mains practice question. Discuss hazards and risks associated with space debris. Analyze the significance of Project Netra launched by ISRO. You need to answer this particular question in 250 words and send in your answers to us on WhatsApp to get them reviewed. This is it for today. I shall see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care, stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining in.